Now let's go to the classroom. Every country and nationality in the world has its unique national symbols. They help describe the ideals of the country and represent the country's culture, traditions, and beliefs. You can learn some interesting facts about a nation from its emblems. Today we're looking at, well, bringing what we looked at in the last 2-3 weeks. We're looking at the anthem, the pledge, and the emblems. And to help us with that this morning, we have Norua Edopolo.
Morning. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Good morning. And
Morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, we have looked at the Nigerian flag, and we were told that the green, white, green of the flag represents the green represents agriculture, Nigeria being a huge agricultural country. And then the white represents unity and peace. One would we want to think now, is this still representative of Nigeria of today?
All right. Thank you very much. Before I come to this question, when I was told about this program and I began to think, about the issues, a picture came to my mind. I'd like to share that, then I'll come to this question. In some organizations, you have what they call the muster point, whereby where there's an emergency, everybody runs to that particular place, and then you can account for everybody, and then there's orderliness, okay? Now, imagine if an organization had various muster points, one for men, one for women, one for, different categories. The confusion when there's an emergency will probably kill more people than the emergency itself, okay? So what you find for us as a people is that we have various muster points, or there is even none. So there is the, the Christian muster point, there's the Muslim muster point, there's the male, the female, the Igbo, the Hausa, the this and that. So when Nigeria calls, people respond diversely. So that confusion in itself does us more harm, all right? And so when you now look at these symbols that we're talking about, these emblems that we're talking about, they become, if we could agree on them, they could then become for us genuine muster points, because they are not tribal, they are not, the pledge, the national flag, the coat of arms, a Muslim will respond to it, a Christian will respond to it, a Buddhist will respond to it, an Efik, a Benin man, an Ijaw man. So for me, it's really about how do we make these symbols, how do we make them become our muster points, such that as a people, when there's a call, we respond appropriately, recognizing that this is what we should do, as opposed to what we have now, where is it that we don't have an identifiable muster point or an agreed muster point. Yeah. So that for me, it's it's where my mind is working regarding these symbols. Yeah.
Okay, now to the question.
Okay. So are they still relevant? Yes, they are. Or maybe I should say,
are they a true picture of the Nigeria of today?
They ought to be. Unfortunately, they are not. All right? So they ought to be. If they were, it would be clear as a people. It's very interesting. If you go to Ghana, you'll be amazed. You will see the Ghanaian flag in the taxis, in the buses. You will see them wear their colors, the black star. But if you and I were to go out now and look for a Nigerian flag, we have to place an order. So they are supposed to be, but they are not.
Well, you don't have to place an order. It's not that bad, all right.
Okay.
I see Nigerian flags in some cars. I see them in some cabs.
I like that.
But of course, when you carry a Nigerian flag or you fly a Nigerian flag in your car or you hold it around during special
Occasions.
Especially during our independence. So in the month of October, you will see many cars sporting the Nigerian
I've
flag.
had to look for one recently, so I'm talking from experience.
Why is it that this muster points, or these muster points that we have, the anthem, the pledge, the emblems that we have, why is it that they're not relevant or they're not in your face as they should be anymore?
Because those who have, it's like Okay, there has never really been an agreement as a people that this is what we stand for. All right? So at every point in time, different people interpret Nigeria as is convenient for them. Okay? So if you ask me, we must have that conversation that says, like the gentleman who spoke before me, spoke about, this is the Nigerian vision. This is what we believe. Now, until we do that, I don't know, recently there was something on social media as to who signed in 1940. I don't know if you guys saw it. And there was this debate as to who actually signed the amalgamation, by the way. What was negotiated? What was agreed? So, if a child does not know where he's coming from and appreciate where he's coming from, chances are he can become anything.
Okay. What are your thoughts? We'll take a moment and we'll come back to look at this suggestion by some people that maybe if at every government gathering or every public gathering we recited the pledge, things might change. But we'll talk about that when we come back from this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. So that conversation about how the anthem, the pledge, and the emblems all work together for our identity as a nation, Nigeria, and as Nigerians. Norua, so before we went to that break, I said someone was saying maybe if it was made mandatory that the pledge is recited at every public event, instead of the normal, that's Christian prayer, Muslim prayer, the pledge is recited.
The pledge should be the prayer.
The pledge should be the prayer at every public event. Indeed, at every assembly, every legislative house, before they start their plenary, national and state, the pledge should be recited and before they close. Do you think that will make a difference? Because we do recite the pledge in schools.
And at every swearing in of a governor or deputy governor, so that we can know that they are there to serve Nigeria.
Yes, I agree. But that would just be one item in the basket of things to do. Because the idea is that we want these things to become a rallying point. We want these things to become, so the Nigerian dream, the Nigerian
second
vision.
nature to
yes,
all
second
of us.
nature.
Yeah.
So, because if you ask me, I agree. They should do that, but they should even start earlier. Right from the cradle, the children should be taught that we are Nigerians. This is what it means to be a Nigerian. And then you go all the way up. And at some point also, we're just having this conversation before we came on air again. If you look at some countries, they actually have institutions that train people for leadership. All right? So you don't just appear on the scene and here you are, a senator, a member of the House. So in a country like Nigeria, the National Orientation Agency, I don't know what they're up to, but this should be something they're looking at. NIPS, you get the impression that NIPS is some faraway, elitist, remote institution. But this is the kind of thing that NIPS should be looking at. I am aware, for example, of an institute, the Institute for National Transformation, who has taken it upon itself to help nations. Funny enough, the INT, not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of Africa, is actually helping nations, if you like, to create what I'm referring to as muster points. All right, so that we should start from the cradle. We should ensure that even if they haven't gone through it on their way up, before they are sworn in, there should be an onboarding process for members of the House, the parliamentarians, where they actually go through a series of teachings on the significance of these things. If you do all of that, and then you now begin to say it before you start the program, put it, so you have the president's picture, the governor's picture, the Nigerian pledge. In every, that's already happening. You have the governor's picture is there, the president's picture is there. If we also added our pledge and we began to do what these things you are speaking about, then with time, it begins to sink in. There must be something, there must be ideas that, that are undergirding the things we're trying to do as a people. It is the absence of those kinds of things that has made money and power for the sake of themselves to be the end goal of most of what we do.
Okay, Festus says Nigerians are very patriotic people. Our football jerseys ran out within 24 hours and it was released in the UK market by FIFA. So Nigerians went for the jerseys. And indeed, Nigerians do buy the football jerseys. But is it enough to buy? That's good, but we're talking about collapsing all our, borrowing your choice of word, our muster points into this one thing called Nigeria. You've talked about, okay, if we have it, how do you say that? If we had the different we had the pledge, just like we have the president's picture,
Picture,
the governor's picture,
then you have the pledge.
have the pledge.
Yes.
That would change. But you see, from the schools, from our schools, for instance, in the morning assembly, they recite the pledge, they sing the national anthem, and then they go to class. What if the government officials, the civil servants were made to do it? It's not just enough to hang it there. Would it help?
Yes, it will. It would help. But again, we must walk the talk. So that's the other dimension of this. You mentioned football. Why is football a unifying factor for us? Because in football, it's Nigeria. Oftentimes, we don't care whether you're from the east or the west or the north, whether you're Muslim. I mean, Musa passes the ball to Christian, Christian scores, and hey, Nigeria has won. So, funny enough, if we took the football metaphor and we brought it to bear on the Nigerian situation, you just might have more people becoming more patriotic in other things beyond football. So yes, what you said is correct, but walking the talk now becomes the... So, we can then challenge each other. You know what I mean? So we're in traffic and somebody is driving wrongly and I say, hey, remember, your pledge. And people come to say, yes, your pledge. Stay on the queue. So there's also the citizen component in this. Let's not just wait for those in government. If we as a people, if we have a hashtag, Take Nigeria Back, and we all insist that going forward we would recite the pledge, we would live by the pledge. Yeah.
That pledge, how many of us actually pay attention to that pledge as it is now?
Presently, an insignificant number. But if we had a buy-in from the people and the leadership to say, listen, the country it's like a ship that is lost its course. It's evident that things are going wrong here and there. So if we all agree and say, listen, why don't we pull back and rebuild this country? And guess what? We have things that are ours that we can use that will take us away from ethnic, religious, tribal, etc., so that if we all have a consensus to say, let's restart this Nigerian, journey or question by looking at these symbols that are ours. They are not Christian, they are not Muslim, they are not Efik, they are not Ibibio, they are not Hausa Fulani, they are Nigerian. So if we all agree, if there is a consensus to say, let's begin to, extol or exalt these symbols and begin to, live by what it is speaking to us, we may just turn the corner.
Are the symbols that important?
They are important, yes. I mean, nations, a nation is not just the physical structure. It's the belief, it's the ideals. That's what makes a nation great. It's not the physical structure. When somebody says is pursuing the American dream is not a skyscraper. The American dream is not the tarred roads. The American dream is a belief that you can make
abstract.
It's an abstract thing, but it's so powerful that it propels them. When the British bow before the throne, it's not that the Queen is the most beautiful person, it's what she represents. And that's what is lacking here. There is nothing that Nigerians can see and recognize and say, yes, arise, O compatriots, this is it. And these symbols present us an opportunity to move away from religion, from tribe, from all of those things, and take on something that is Nigerian. Our coat of arms is not an Islamic coat of arms. It's not a Pentecostal coat of arms. It's not an Olokun coat of arms. It's a Nigerian coat of arms. So we can take it as a people.
So, Nora, do you think that, therefore, these things should be taught in schools right from the first day a child steps foot in a school?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I believe so. It should be.
So the issue of civics comes up again, even though we hear that it's been reintroduced in some schools.
It should be.
Not in all.
It should be taught in all the schools. It should be taught in all the mosques, in all the churches. You have, the churches do their discipleship training. Government should say, include the Nigerian coat of arms, the Nigerian pledge, the Nigerian flag. What you have now is that you have Christians whose allegiance is to something else first before to Nigeria. You have Muslims whose allegiance is to something else first before to Nigeria. But if there is an incorporation, so the Muslim knows that, yes, he prays 5 times a day. Before he closes that prayer, he must mention Nigeria. The Christian knows that, yes, I do whatever I do. Before I finish it, I must mention Nigeria. So we incorporate Nigeria. We weave Nigeria into the fabrics of our people.
What about in the homes?
Same.
In the families. How
Same.
should we handle it from the family?
Once there is a buy-in, once there's a buy-in, and I mean, in my house, for example, every time we gather to pray, the children know my prayers do not end until I've spoken a word concerning Nigeria. So they know that. So I mean, if this became, like what you call a bandwagon effect, and everybody took it home and we began to do it. If you meet it in your office, you meet it in church, you meet it in the mosque, you meet it at your town's meeting, you meet it at your community development level meeting, very soon it will percolate and get all the way down.
It's okay. That's one way. Let's look at other ways to ensure that Nigerians begin to take Nigeria, the identity in Nigeria, take it on to themselves.
Okay, so for us as a people, it just, we talk about things trending, all right? So it's to make Nigeria trend. The fact that I'm a Nigerian, and in doing this, we must be mindful not to focus too much on our leaders, unfortunately. Because, what's happening now is that who will bail the cat, all right? So the people are waiting to see good examples. The leaders are waiting for the people to do the right thing. So at the end of the day, nobody's making movement. So I'm saying, let the people take the destiny of their country into their hands. Let Nigerians begin to say, I will do what is right for Nigeria. If more of us, if the critical number of us, whether from the east, the north, the west, it's clear now that religion will not deliver us. We've had a Muslim president, we have a Christian president. You probably have the best combination now. A pious Muslim, a Pentecostal pastor, here we are. So let's put religion where it belongs, but let's put Nigeria where it ought to be, all right? And let people take Nigeria. So the government is not there when we're in the queue. Sometimes when you are in the queue, so your car is in front of mine, I'm behind you, he's on the other side. When you go and I come to the front, I should wait, and then he goes. But what do we find now? We're struggling. Do you know, as little as that, if Nigerians will say, when I get to the junction, whether there's a traffic light or not, the car ahead of me, I would allow him to go, and the person behind you will come and wait, and the other car would go. Can you imagine how much we would ease traffic in a place like Lagos? That does not require government decree, government intervention. It's us doing something for ourselves.
What we were talking about this morning.
Indeed. Okay, Uchepi says, did I just hear your guest say hashtag take Nigeria back? I hope DSS and the military will not come after him for treason. They do not want to hear anything that sounds like that.
They'll be glad for what we're trying to do. That we're going to respect the pledge, respect the national anthem, and then do what is best for Nigeria. That's what I mean by taking Nigeria back.
Akimbo says, our national anthem pledge and emblems deserve respect, but not many people in power respect them. Those in power should lead by example. So it's a question of examples now.
A friend of mine was saying to me that the word politician, I didn't know this, that it actually means that those who embody the beliefs of the country, of the people. All right? So for me, yes, that's part of what he said. He said, it's in its root meaning. It's the embodiment that, so when you say you're a politician, you're saying that everything that this country stands for, everything it represents, here I am a personification of that. And so if you look at that understanding and then you see what we have in politics, you can tell that we have a problem on our hands. So, but I'm saying to Nigerians, if we keep waiting for the leaders to do the right thing, we would never make progress. So yes, we would challenge our leaders to do the right thing. We would challenge our leaders to embody the values of Nigeria. But I'm saying to the rest of us, don't wait. In your own space, lead properly. Do what is right.
Okay, see this. I am Professor Aboki, says, born in the 80s and grew up in Lagos. We knew nothing like tribalism. We sang the anthem together, but tribe set in when I wanted to gain admission into the university and searching for a job. Until we take out state of origin in field forms, Nigeria will be great.
I think the Emir of Kano, Sanusi, spoke along the same lines recently. Equity and justice is the foundation on which great nations are built. Until we as a people recognize that, like I keep saying that Nigerians cannot rewrite the laws of nature to suit themselves. We have to abide by the laws of nature. So, yes, I hear you. I remember many years ago, one of my sister's daughters, her first encounter with Nigeria was when they didn't give her admission to Queen's College because she was from Edo State and the cutoff mark was so much higher. All right? That child has since left Nigeria. I doubt if she will ever come back. So that's the challenge that we have. So
Scarred forever.
that's it, you know. So yes. So for example, if I were, I would say to those places that get those low cutoffs, your cutoff was 5 this year. Next year is going to be 15. So in the course of 5 years, we expect that you will move up the ladder. But if you keep giving them 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and somebody else is getting 230, 250, 400, it's injustice. Yeah. And until we right some of these wrongs, you know, but that's why I'm hesitant today to focus on leadership, because we will not make progress, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong. We should look up to the leaders, but the crop of leaders that we have now, presently, if you were to follow their examples, we're not going to make much progress. So the people have to recognize that we must take this country. It's our country. Yeah. So if you've been hurt by the Nigerian system, don't give up on Nigeria. You make up your mind that in your own space, you will do the right thing.
You make up your mind that you will do the right thing. I wish more of us would just decide that no matter what anybody else is doing, if everybody is going crazy on the road, we shall not go crazy with them. We shall remain on the queue no matter how long it takes. That is the beginning of making a difference, and that's the beginning of fixing Nigeria. Each man should just determine that they will do the right thing.
True.
That's a good note on which to leave it. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming,
Thank you.
Mr. Norua Edopolo.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
Thank you.